Welcome back to another episode of the Chaosium House RuneQuest campaign. I'm Jeff Richard, and I will be your game master tonight. I first want to thank all my players, Claudia Loroff, Linda Borgen, Richard August, Philip Glass, and of course, Neil Robinson. Why don't you all introduce yourself and your characters? And I believe that Philip even came up with a suggested order.
He did. I think that I go first. So I'm
yeah,
Neil. We have me listed as I'm playing Nisk. Nisk is an Orlan's adventurous rune lord wannabe.
I was number 2, so I'm Linda. I'm playing Ankala, who is a Stormbull High Llama Rider Shaman.
I'm Richard. I'm playing Garen Grimseeming, a Humanity bodyguard who now wants to become one of the Sword Brothers.
I'm Claudia. I'm playing Gina Ghostfriend, and she is an another cultist, but actually she is more in the Tylcora Tech cult.
I am Philip. I play Galbrast One Arm, named thusly because he lost an arm in an epic fight. And I'm now a bored pirate who is trying to make the best out of being confined in a city on land. It's horrible.
You know, I have to say, Philip, that almost sounds a little bit like real life.
No, not at all. In real life, I don't even leave the house that much, so it's not quite the same.
Well, Richard, why don't you give us all a recap of what went on in the last session for our benefit and for the viewing audience?
We started the last session still more or less in possession of the home we looted during the liberation of New Pavis. We decided to visit Argrath to gain some guidance on what his plans were for the future and to see if he would become the presiding force in our shrine to him. We engaged in a sort of, we found him in the midst of some kind of ongoing orgy, basically, of drinking and fighting. And he seemed very happy. He sort of agreed, but we didn't get any real answers out of him. So we decided to venture into the wilds on our own mission. We found ourselves a sable rider. We found ourselves a llama rider called Waha Tol.
I believe he was an Impala.
Oh, an Impala
rider.
Impala rider, damn it. Called Waha Tol. He's definitely called Waha Tol.
Yes, because he's about 150 centimeters tall.
And extremely competitive over how many people he's killed, despite the fact he uses a bow like a coward. Nevertheless, we ventured into the wilds of Prax with the aim of heading back towards the battlefield where we saw the Crater Makers devastate our forces. We made our way across the desert to the Dwarf Knoll, where we were kind of beset by some hyenas. And then a little after driving them off, largely through the interaction of Waha Tol, we encountered a group of sable riders who we have come to an agreement with to raid a nearby settlement which is largely populated by members of the Lunar Army. And we're just about ready to ride in and deal out justice.
That sounds excellent. Okay, with that recap, let's just dive right in. I know Linda had a little bit of housekeeping to do on her character sheet, and as did Philip, I believe. And just a reminder, one thing that I, when I'm running the game, that I'm disinclined to do is to remind you all to check the box when you succeed in doing a skill check or a rune check or a passion check, or qualify for a POW gain roll. Just be on the honor system, check it yourself. And then at the end of a season, or whenever we get a nice long downtime, then we can make our experience checks. Hopefully that works for everybody. Other than that, let me go and put up the map of the area for a brief moment here. Does everybody see this?
Yep. You see moon broth in the middle.
Then we've even got moon broth in the middle. So let me give you an idea of the geography of this area here. You've got the good place is where you all are in, and only a Praxian would consider this to be the good place from the perspective of most of the rest of the characters. This is a dry grassland. It's you know, unlike some of the areas you've gone through, there's grass everywhere, grass and bits of chaparral and sage and whatnot. But who all has the farming skill?
I do.
You couldn't farm here. This land is, you know, animals can graze here. It's fine enough for grazing lands, but you would consider this to be pretty crappy land. Linda, this is the good place. This is the second best land in Prax.
Yep.
The rest of you guys have no idea what a farm is, except for Gina, who all of Prax basically sucks compared to Israelia. So you've got the good place. You haven't gone there, but there's an oasis called Moonbroth. And then maybe 20, 30 or so kilometers to the southeast is what's called the Dead Place. And we talked about that in the last session as a bad place to go. According to the Praxians, no spirits can survive there. No magic can be cast there. It's basically an area that died in the Gods' War. And then just to give a little bit better bearings, to the northwest or the west of where you are is what's called the Poljoni March. And these are grasslands with the occasional bits of stands of pine. So people that are used to Western U.S. Vegetation and topography, these are the areas where the plainland and the desert starts coming into the hill country, and so you've got a few trees, but it's basically grassland, and pretty good grassland. And then beyond the Poljoni March is Sartar, so which is the homeland for Garen, and too far back for him to remember it, but it would be Nisk.
Right.
So I just wanted to put that up to give you guys some context, and then let me pull the map down. Stop share. Okay, so you guys have cut a deal with Josh Farr, the Sable leader, and his band of, and let me count them up, because this may matter to you guys. There's Josh Farr, his sister, and 4 Sable Riders. So there's 6 of them. And what they've proposed, there's 5 of you all plus Waha Tal. That's another 6. The 12 of you, he proposes that we all raid in to the oasis of Moonbroth and take any animals that are there, because he's a good Praxian, and grab anything that you want to grab there in the town, and we split whatever we get, whatever we take, and we part then as friends. And that was your guys, I believe that was your basic deal with Josh Farr.
Yeah, maybe not as clear on what parts we're going to do there, but this sounds like a lot more like a snatch and grab raid than a loot and pillage, if that makes sense.
Yes, his basic thought is that with 12 of us, we can ride into the town. If his grand strategy is we all mount up, ride into town. If anybody tries to stop us or organize a defense against us when we ride into town, just kill them.
That is always my plan.
What was that?
That is always my plan.
Yep, just kill them, and then we can ride around looking to see what animals they have and what stuff they have, and if there's anything that looks good to you, grab it, and then we get out of here.
Now we know this was still held by Lunars or Lunar sympathizers.
Well, no. Keep in mind that this is about a little less than a year ago at the Second Battle of Moonbroth. This is where Argrath and you all beat the Lunar Army the first time. So it used to be under lunar occupation. Currently, who knows who rules it?
Maybe we should scout it first.
Sorry.
Just, have a look around what's actually going on there.
I do agree.
I mean, does he look like a, shall we say, savory character, this Joshua?
Okay, in Kala, the other Praxian tribes have a maxim, a saying: never trust a sable rider. Just never trust them. So how I'm sure Josh Farr is one of these guys. He's a youngish guy, probably about your guy's age, maybe a little bit older. He's got a crooked smile, kind of. He's got a little bit of a little bit of nomadic charm, but on the other hand, make an insight roll, Colbrest.
Now I did make an insight roll earlier.
Yeah.
That succeeded at the beginning when we were doing the initial negotiations.
Okay.
Nope.
Colbrest, he's at least as trustworthy as a wolf pirate.
So not trustworthy at all.
He's at least
We
that
obviously
trustworthy.
would not want to, unwittingly help him dispose of the current chieftain or something, or get, sort of pulled into a feud over there. That would not be good.
In Kala and Nisk, you all know that he definitely has ulterior motives going on here and seems very insistent that we need to act fast.
Well, we could always ask him questions about, well, shouldn't we take a better chance so we can scout the area and get a better idea? Just kind of play him along a bit to see if he gets a bit nervous about it.
Yeah, definitely.
I said that some of my companions are far better at planning things than they are at just riding in and charging.
Which one is that?
You're all excellent horsemen. Too bad you're on
I cannot charge in anyways. My riding skill is terrible.
What is your riding skill, Gina?
15.
Oh.
What do you...
I'm not riding.
Did you really walk all the...
Maybe I sit on the back of a horse or a bison or whatever, but yeah.
Well, you made your success. You're actually doing pretty well on the trip, so we thought you had like a zebra or something.
Yeah, I succeeded my riding role last time, so I'm riding on something. Maybe it's, I don't know, the most gentle mule or something like that.
I suspect that you were riding on Actually, this is a fair question. I know Nisk is riding a bison, and
Yep.
Kala is riding a high llama. I know Colbrast has 2 zebras.
Mm-hmm. And actually, something weird happened. I actually made my riding. I rolled a 1 for the experience thing, and then I rolled another 1. So now I have riding 6, which means
Riding how much?
6.
0, 6? Well, you get a base
Yep.
level of 5
Plus
your
5,
modifier.
yeah. So it's 11. So I keep falling off, I guess.
he's actually a worse rider than you are, Gina.
Is that possible?
I'm a
It's
pirate.
possible.
I don't ride stuff.
You need a camel. It's like a ship.
Yeah.
And Garen, if I recall, I know you like to still call yourself Garen Grimseeming instead of Garen the Unlucky, or as your friends are calling you, Garen Blisterbutt.
One, I am sharing a bison with Nisk, so some of that must
No,
be
you're not. You're riding my other bison. I'm not having you on my bison.
Well, I'm blaming your poor training.
This is my chocolate egg, Holly. Holly! Sorry, this cat loves chocolate.
Well, I think that, only the bad craftsman blames the tools. So only the bad rider blames the animal.
Okay.
Any good cracksman will tell you that.
And 2, I only got blisters there once.
But what blisters?
Yeah, but you'll never hear the end of it. So it's the guy with riding 6, so it's fair.
All right, so Josh Farr seems a bit nervous that because he thinks that there's a limited window, and he confesses to you that part of the reason that he wants to raid the town is that the usual nomads around Moonbroth aren't there right now.
And which nomads would they be?
Okay, I want somebody to use some social skills, communication skills, or whatnot to be able to extract this information out.
All right, I'm going to use a
Social
charm.
what?
Is that all right?
What was that, Neil?
I have a charm. I have charm or fast talk or intimidate. Your choice. Or I can orate. But I don't think
You
it's
tell
orate.
me which you. Orate doesn't really sound right.
Charm it is.
I mean, you could tell me what your Captain Kirk speech is if you wanted to do orate.
Well, if I was going for a sister, right? But, I'm just talking to him. I succeed on my charm. Not by much, but I do succeed. And I'm charming enough to, hey, you can tell me I'm a fellow warrior who's traveled and, sometimes isn't always felt, sometimes an outsider among some of the Praxians, I say.
You basically do your best Harrison Ford imitation here.
Sure.
And Josh Farr says, well, this has been ever since the Lunars were forced out, the Poljoni tribe have claimed, have lorded over Moonbroth. But after the dragon rose, the Poljoni rode to the south. And so the Poljoni aren't in Moonbroth right now. And I think it means that Moonbroth is, for the time being, undefended.
And if it's not?
Well, it doesn't have, it might have some locals there, but it doesn't have the Poljoni aren't there. And the Poljoni are what we have to worry about. They're the bastards. So, and Kala, you know who the Poljoni are, don't you?
Yeah, nasty horse cattle people. We don't like them.
Yeah, they're the cattle bastards. And what that's what every Praxian calls them, is the bastards. Yeah. Cattle bastards. And they are a tribe of mostly horse riding people with close connections with the tribes of Sartar that have forced themselves onto Prax. And when the Praxians unified to try to force them out, the Poljoni, there was a coalition of Praxian shamans that were going to use their spirits to sweep the Poljoni out of Prax. And the Poljoni brought in their Sardarite allies and their god, or gods, which were Orlanth and Humacht, and they just mopped the floor with the shamans. And ever since then, the tribes are very, very wary of getting into a pitched fight with the Poljoni, because the Poljoni have some very powerful magic to bring in, and they do pay the proper respect to the priestesses of the Paps. So they're tolerated, but they're hated. If you can kind of imagine how that would work. And they herd cattle and they ride horses, and they do all sorts of things that no Praxian would ever do.
Did they fight with Argrath?
They allied with Argrath.
That might be a problem.
Oh, but they have left Joshvar says the Poljoni have left Moonbroth.
But why?
He doesn't know, but they all left. Whole host of them. All of the Poljoni herds have headed to the south. Have gone to the south.
And nobody else came in to fill in the gap they left?
He says, well, that's for us.
How many days is it since they have left?
He says that they were all completely gone about a week ago.
So I actually see how many other tribes are lurking around in little groups to attack Moonbroth.
He's been watching, and he hasn't seen anybody else, any of the other tribes here, but he thinks it's only a matter of time. But with 12 of us, we can get whatever is left in Moonbroth and take it for ourselves and then get out of here. But if we wait, well,
yeah, that sounds great.
Maybe the Poljoni will come back.
We should go. We should go now, because I don't ride very well, so it'll take quite a while until we actually reach the oasis. So we should, go at once. I think, at last some pirating, Nisk. Remember our great raids on all the oceans. This has been horrible. This whole campaign. Now at last we can.
Nisk will let you know subtly that if we do see a big chunk of Poljoni, we're not going in there. I don't want to. Our goal is not here to kill, good people. But if there's an opportunity for some plunder, that's a good thing too.
Yeah, obviously, yes.
But we have enough loot.
We do.
You're spending it all on this guy you hired to do your hair.
Yeah, he's actually.
You have no one giving you donations at your shrine that you give them stuff. We have people giving free beer. No, we don't have enough loot. We have almost no loot now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but this is actually, by the way, this is a good thing. Olgor, my hairdresser, who's actually accompanying me, he is the one who's able to ride. So he is actually leading my mule. He's always stabilizing me and helping me out.
And that makes everybody else happy, because
he has no shame.
That is not a man.
No, he has a good hairstyle. I mean, he has braided, his beard is properly waxed and so on. So yeah, he has the right makeup. Me too.
Makeup does really well in the desert.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hate always the claws in front of me when the wind blows, because then I have to make the makeup right afterwards, but whatever. You have to ride with style.
All right, so what is your guys' plan? You guys come up with a plan, and I am going to grab myself another beer. So plan, and then tell me what you're going to do.
So great, Battle Master. I turn to our Humakti. What do you recommend from a tactical perspective? How should we do this?
Tactically, I think we should hit the location from at least 2 sides. Our sable riding friends from the front and us from
I have a concern if you do that. I think the sable riders will just wait for us to attack everything. Cause stir up the wasp's nest, and then.
Are you suggesting they're not honourable?
They're not at all honourable.
They're sable riders. They cannot be trusted at all.
What guys have you brought us to?
Everything we do now.
You chose to come to Prax. This is where this is.
And everything. Okay.
Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying, everything we do, we have to consider the fact that sable riders will stab us in the back on the way. Like anything we do. Yeah. All plans.
There is another way, by the way.
I have a question. Around the moon, I'm pretty sure, because Moonrose is an oasis, which is very important. So a lot of fights happened here. Means a lot of dead people are buried here. Right? So it's actually a substitute necropolis kind of thingamajiggy graveyard?
That I do not know. All I know is I don't think it would be very honourable for a son of Humact to rely on the work of the dead when he should be using his own sword.
Yeah, but I mean, I have to feel comfortable as well. So is it some kind of a big graveyard or not?
I don't think so. It's an oasis. There are battles probably around there.
Yeah,
but it's not like a giant necropolis, I wouldn't assume.
I don't know. I mean,
it'd be like Death Broth.
Is there a Death Broth?
No, there's a dead place. You could go there.
Let's go to the dead place instead.
No, that's so dead. There's not even
magic there.
The very air poisons you in that place.
Okay, no. What I want to make clear is, there should be a lot of people somewhere buried in the sand around it, which are dead because a lot of battles happened here to actually take over Moonbros. I feel comfortable to go there.
Good. Anyway, I'm pretty sure we're having this conversation while they're actually already on the way.
Yep. We just don't have a very good plan yet. I don't like the pincer approach. I told Garen, just because I don't trust the Sable Riders enough to, if they expect us to initiate, that's not what I want. I want them to, they're the great archers. We've heard of them. It's heard that they can actually shoot between their horns.
Then if they fire into the camp, scattering the foe, we can then ride in and trap them between a constant rain of arrows and a solid wall of steel.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be within firing range of those arrows, to be honest. Better keep them close, so that, they don't.
We won't be within range of arrows. We will occupy the other half of the camp.
No. Then they're going to let us draw all the people over, and then they're just going to sweep in and take the stuff that it's not there.
Okay, so why don't we do this the other way around?
I'd go in with them or right beside them, and they shoot, and then when it gets close, if someone comes up, you can charge in.
Or the other plan would be we tell them so they stay outside and shoot arrows, and we tell them that we'll sneak up. And once people are occupied by being shot at with arrows, we'll start attacking. And then we don't. And the people see, oh, there's some guys shooting arrows, we'll go and fight with them. And we can, raid behind enemy lines, so to speak. That would be the thing, how you do it as a pirate.
Yeah, but they do not have any loot. The Sable Riders do not have any loot with them.
It's not talking about looting a Sable Rider.
No, the Oasis.
But my problem with this entire plan is the fact that there could be someone in there who's actually friends or allied with Argrath, and the Sable Riders are using this to kind of stir up our situation with them, with Argrath. I have no trust in whatever they might be thinking or.
So what do you want to do?
I'd like to have a stakeout first. I'd like for someone to take a look. Don't you have a raven that can take a look?
I mean, yes, I
pull Joni's in there, or
raven, for sure. I've probably sent him already, actually.
Yeah,
I'm not worried he might be shot down.
Yeah.
Well, shall we deal with that?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good thing to remember. So you send your raven out there, and your raven, let me just get a quick map of this for my own benefit here. Your raven says that moon broth, it's an oasis. It's an oasis. It's got, it's got fields and water. It's got a lot of areas. It's at the center of it. It's got lots of steaming stuff coming from the ground. There's lots of white clouds coming out of the ground, and there looks like there's 2 villages, one on either side of where all the lake area that's got lots of steam coming out of it. And it's surrounded by, it's an oasis, so it's surrounded by, there's orchards where I don't know. I mean, you humans like to grow trees. I don't know why you like to grow trees. But that's what I saw. I saw the important stuff.
Tell me, Wise Raven, did you notice if there was enough steam to cover the approach of 12 riders?
Well, if you rode down into the center and rode around to the lake, you might get covered.
But it's not traveling far enough from the lake to give us much.
The raven, and the raven doesn't have hands, so he can't really do this, but the raven goes, the steam, it goes for the lake and it goes up. It doesn't go to the sides, it goes up. Right? But there's a lot of it.
It's a heated oasis.
Sometimes it goes way up. It's kind of cool.
Has anybody got any magic which could use that steam to cover us?
Well, is it windy at all? Or?
Roll, humor me, my friend, and roll percentile dice.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you.
26.
26. You know something? There's a light wind, a very, very... Actually, there's really not a lot of wind. There's a very light wind blowing from Dragon Pass, but it's very light.
Not strong enough to sort of waft the...
Not even strong.
Over.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Okay.
It's enough that it isn't just, you're not sitting in the desert or in the steppes with the heat just beating straight down on you. Mm-hmm. But so it makes it, the fact that there's a light wind does make it a little bit more tolerable.
Mm-hmm. And what direction is it going? I mean, if say I would increase the wind and it sort of, wafts the steam in front.
It's going from right now it's going from the west to the east.
So that's where we're coming from.
Yes.
It's against, okay.
Did that raven see any animals or humans?
He didn't care about that.
Well, I thought it would be looking for dead things, for things for the Humaki to kill, so we can eat eyeballs.
It was sitting around. It said it thought the steam was kind of weird because it's not used to seeing steam coming off a lake. And there were 2 villages, and I'm sure that there's food in both of those villages.
We should get the the Sable Riders to give us a map. Mm-hmm. And draw it out a bit, sketch on the dirt and stuff to see what it is. There's 2 villages now, so there could be 2 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why don't I, at the level of crudity that the Paul Joni would draw something at, draw you what they have.
Perfect.
Okay, we're talking super highly developed mapping technology in the dirt.
expert cartographers.
Hmm.
Can I get one of their Paul Joni hats?
Well, we don't have Paul Jones.
Oh, those Paul Joni hats. Yeah, this raises a question. Was anybody smart enough to get one of those broad-brimmed leather hats that a lot of the noob have? You have that?
Yeah, actually, Olga got one for me, but a stylish one.
I would like to have got one because I think they're awesome.
Anybody else? That is the style. And Kala, you have the proper High Lama style, which is that you shave the front half of your head, have nice long queues. Yep. Down there. But, you know, you've also got very dark skin because of the being in the sun and whatnot. All this silliness about hats.
Hmm.
You pretty much will never have to deal with the dust anyways because you're way up high on your bison. How about you?
Llama.
Or sorry,
Hi,
llama.
llama. I'm
You're llama.
certainly not riding a bicycle.
Oh dear, here we go again.
Nifk probably has a beat up hat that he's worn. You know, he's got ones that he's had for years, you know, in the desert and everything. He's not had to use it in a long time because, you know, on the ocean voyages. But yeah, he's also pretty used to spending out in the sun all the time because he's just like 15. He was out living as an exile.
Right, so hands up who have the traditional floppy, or sorry, broad-brimmed Sardarite Paul Joni hat.
But a stylish one.
Stylish one. You know what it looks like? It looks like the boss of the plains. It's an early Stetson. You guys are cowboys. All right. This is the extent.
It's not stylish.
You're not stylish.
You can see the oasis in the middle, and then
Yep.
the two villages, and then what's on the two sides are trees. Is that orchards?
Orchards.
Okay.
Okay.
There's the old village and the new village, according to the Sables.
And which one did they want to raid first?
The new village.
And who lives in the new village?
The Sables say that's what the Lunars built.
Is that true?
That's what he says.
Any checks we can do for that? Have we heard of this?
You're a High Lama.
Yeah.
I think it's highly unlikely that you were ever allowed in lunar-occupied Moonbroth.
Could the Raven have noticed?
You're asking what a Raven finds interesting.
I'm wondering if, given that I acquired the Raven just before the raid on New Palace, and he would have been familiar with the ministrations of Lunars on their enemies, probably, you know, and feasted on the remains. So he probably has some idea of what lunar culture and building work looks like, if only from hanging around waiting for scraps. So I can try and phrase the question to him in such a way as to make it, you know, does this look like the red dressed meat makers or something like that?
Okay, I want you to make a either a communication skill or a charisma ×3.
Okie dokie.
What language does your Raven speak?
He speaks. He speaks my language, and he speaks New Pelorian.
Okay. He speaks New Pelorian. He knows. This isn't a problem.
Okay.
He actually can. He clearly knows Lunar well enough that he can even speak to Lunars. So your Raven says, "Oh yeah, the old town, is all made out of mud. It's mud. The new town's got a lot of stone. You know, the way like in New Pavis, a lot of stone. New stone, new town. And Lunars don't like living in places made out of mud, but they like living in places made out of stone.
So I'll give him a bit of the dried one. I'll give him a whole finger from one of the dead, from the people we killed in our raid on Pavis. For that particular,
You carry around. Wait! I want to. Quick background. Do you carry around like a bag of jerkied fingers for this raven? And if you do, you have to write that on your character sheet because
I do.
Shall I bless them for you?
Here.
He eats human flesh, and he refers to me as the meat maker. I can't let a friend starve.
So I just want you to write down that you carry around a bag of jerkied fingers that you feed to your raven.
Absolutely.
Shall I bless them for you?
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Jeff, are there any spirits about?
Well, you're a few kilometers away from Moonbroth.
Yeah.
So at this point, you've just been sitting around trying to figure out your grand plan.
Yeah, but while we're doing that, can I discorporate and try to find a local spirit and ask them about what's going on over there?
Sure. How far, do you remember how far you can travel while discorporate?
I have the book. I don't really remember.
I'll have a look.
Discorporation. Deep into the spirit world. It's pretty much all it says. Sacrifice minimum 5 magic points. Hour to complete. Cannot be magically dispelled. Okay, so I can be gone for a few hours. But it doesn't really say.
Well, you can basically travel as far as you could in a few hours.
Yeah.
So you could travel to Moonbroth and back if you want.
Yeah. I kind of want to do that, but very carefully.
Okay, what about the rest of you all? Because Inkala proposes to go in a several-hour meditation, and she'll be able to scout out everything that matters. She says, "Just give me several hours."
Well, I've seen what she can do, so I think it's a great idea.
We're not gonna.
It's not like there's any time pressure. It's not like we're losing an advantage that we know of. So I'm absolutely up for getting a better idea of what we'd be up against.
Okay, so you discorporate,
Yeah.
Linda.
Yep.
And of course, give me a few moments here for me to sort of ponder okay.
Technical question. When I spend my 5 magic points, can those also be from an item? Or do I have to use
Yeah, they can be from an item, from yourself,
Yep,
or
okay.
whatever.
Good.
Okay, I just need a moment here to look something up.
I need to get glasses or something because I'm getting old.
Oh, could you get the monitor way back and the...
It's a bit back, but yeah.
All right, do you guys, I'm going to narrate Inkala's, so Inkala goes and she starts mumbling and chanting and what musical instrument do you use?
It's a drum.
You use a little drum and she sits there and starts chanting. Go for it, Linda, chant.
Chant.
You chant away and at some point she goes into a trance and you can see a spectral spider crawl out of her mouth.
It's big.
Okay.
A spectral spider crawls out of her mouth while she's in a trance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Gina likes that very much, does she? Or maybe Gina likes spiders. I don't know. Gina? I think
I do not really like spiders, I have to say. I mean, I find it fascinating. I think I'm studying it, what she's doing there, and I don't know, could I command that? No, it's actually a spirit, so I
think it's
I can
her.
command ghosts.
yeah, it comes out
I
of her
was
mouth
thinking-
and it just kind of it perches on top of her. In Kala, that's the point that your spirit crosses over into the spirit world.
Yeah.
And here, the spirit world, you are in an area where all around you can see the spirits of the children of Oretha. Now that just means that you see the spirit forms of bison and llama and impalas that all once grazed here, because this is a good grazeland. And so of course this attracts a lot of, this area here attracts a lot of animal spirits. And I'm assuming you're heading over towards where Moonbroth is.
Yeah.
And you head over there into that area, and I just need a very quick, give me 1 second to look at something here. There is, as you approach the area where they say, would be Moonbroth, what you see it from the perspective of the spirit world. So there is this great lake, well, not great, but by Praxian standards, a lake that has in it, in these lakes are all, there are a number of fire spirits, some of which are down in the earth. And there are many of them, and the fire spirits really want to escape out from the earth, but are contained by two larger spirits that are in the air. They're twin spirits. One is female and one is male. One is I know one is orange. I think the other one is red, and they pulse. And these spirits pulse back, and when they have no light, all of the fire spirits kind of cringe down. But when they pulse, some of the fire spirits leap out from the earth. And you get the feeling that the further down you go, there's just loads and loads of fire spirits down in the earth here. But their activity is being controlled by these two spirits in the sky.
Sense chaos.
We'll roll against it. Actually, I should roll against it.
You should do it.
How good is yours?
Oh, I've lost and gained some points here and there, so it's at the 45 now.
It's 45. Okay, give me a quick moment. You don't sense any chaos. You sense there are a lot of powerful spirits in and around Moonbroth Oasis, and then there are a lot of crimson red spirits that flit around from the sides of your vision, and there seems to be, as you've gotten closer towards where this collection of fire spirits and the two twins in the sky are, you get the feeling that there's more and more of these crimson spirits that are watching you very carefully.
Can I do a spirit lore? Try to figure out what they are?
Absolutely. I'll let you roll that one instead of me.
Oh, yes, it's a 4.
They are.
Yeah.
These are moon spirits. There are lots of red moon spirits here, and if I recall, your spirit combat took a big hit.
Yeah.
How much do you want to get into a fight with a lot of spirits?
Not at all. I'm backing off. But what I'm sensing here is this is a big ass trap.
It's a big spirit. Well, I don't know if it's a trap, but it's definitely a spirit place.
Yeah, and all
And
those
maybe it's a trap.
I'm paranoid enough to think it's a trap set by the Lunars. I'm going back and I'm gonna convey what I've seen. And I certainly do not want to go in there myself at all.
So basically, after about 2 hours, Ankala comes out of her trance and tells you what had transpired.
So the spider's crawling back.
Yeah, the spider crawls back into her mouth.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
It's big.
Blah.
Okay.
So what did you find?
2 large spirits, lots of moon spirits.
Moon spirits.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, the Lunars are still there.
I mean, some of their magic at least is still there.
Yes.
And there is 2 large spirits suppressing a lot of fire spirits. So my gut feeling is this is a big trap.
And
Why
what
did the
about
troll
the
only
villages?
Hmm?
What about the villages? Is there anyone there?
Did I see any villagers at all?
I think you were paying a lot more attention to the more
Moon
impressive spirits.
Yeah. But would be nice to actually see if the Sable Riders go in at all, because I'm feeling we're being set up for a trap here.
Well, I think that do we know anything about Moonbroth having hot springs?
Having what?
Yeah.
Like
You fought a battle outside of here, but you didn't stick around.
Okay, so we didn't know there's like a bubbling moon area thing or something. That's
No.
I'm wondering if the spirits trapped in the water have been there a long time, versus the lunar spirits, which are obviously new, different, and deadly.
Well, it's not really. It says moon spirit, so maybe it's not lunar because, as you say, the name is Moon.
It is Moonbroth.
So, yeah.
It is, and it was Moonbroth before the Lunars came, right?
It's been Moonbroth as far, and Colin's been Moonbroth as far as you know. It's
which sounds like a big bubbling cauldron of moon spirits. So probably no problem.
It would be interesting to pretend like we have no idea and ask a few specific questions of the Sable Riders.
Ask away. You speak Praxian better than I do.
Go for it. What's your questions?
Is there anything special to be aware of in there? What does the lake look like?
Oh, the lake is the sacred Moonbroth.
Yeah, what does it look like?
Well, it's where it's where the twin stars call forth the steam from below.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's sacred to the Sable Riders.
So you want to raid your own sacred place?
I don't want to raid the lake. That would be stupid. There's no animals in the lake. We want to take whatever anybody else is left there, because if they aren't Sable Riders there, why do we care?
Mm.
You know, he only asks that you don't pollute the lake. You know, don't relieve yourself in the lake. That's about the extent to, you know, it's a sacred, the lake is sacred to the sables, but nothing else
Yeah.
is.
So if they get, you know, mean, we can always pressure them by, you know, threatening to pollute the lake if they don't stop.
But what did your shamans tell you about the spirits residing here?
Oh, there's lots of them. There's lots of them. This is a place where this is a place where the twin stars have power. But he doesn't want to speak more of this to you because you're not a sable rider.
Oh, perhaps you can tell us whether our attacking would bring the spirits against us.
Are you gonna fight the spirits? Or are you gonna just run? What?
I'd lay my blade against flesh, not against that which is beyond.
He figures the spirits could care less what happens to the local oasis people and any women, elderly, and children here. Why do the spirits care?
Are we perhaps overthinking this a bit? How about just raiding the place and getting on to where
That's Josh Farr's take about it. Is yeah, you know, there's lots of powerful spirits in the lake there. Let's not attack the lake with boiling hot water.
That's a good plan, Josh Farr.
Josh Farr isn't even very sure that he has any idea how you would attack the lake.
Okay, so can we go?
Are you okay, Impala, if we go to the town?
Okay. This is one of the times where I'm going to be a little bit careful in the background.
Okay.
And I'm going to cast a spirit screen on myself and be the spell that's not going away. I have a shamanic gift of keeping one spirit spell active.
Okay. So how many points spirit screen are you going to cast?
Oh, isn't spirit screen just a 3-point spell?
Is it a 3? I think
there's a variable one, and then the rune spell is, I think 1 point is 10 points of spirit shield or spirit shield, I think.
Do I remember old rules now?
You might
Could be. Yeah, because spirit screen used to be a 3-point spell.
Really?
Could be remembering wrong. Yeah.
Let me look this up very, very quickly. Spirit screen, I believe, is a variable spell. I should know all this because I read it all. Spirit screen, variable.
Ah, okay. Okay. Then I'm gonna do a spirit screen 5 and expend my magic crystal. I'm gonna stay.
Wow. Okay, what that does is that gives you 5 points of armor against spirit attacks. Yeah. So just to make you disappointed, Mr. Humakti, most spirits can't even touch her, but they can totally screw with you.
However, I'm actually prepping myself for spirit combat, but I'm not as paranoid.
I'm scared to death of this. I've seen them. You haven't.
Yeah, they usually don't interfere with us, so what do we care? I mean, come on.
All right, and that is actually, Colbrass, that is a good point, is most of the time, the spirits stay in the spirit world. They don't manifest in the spirits. The only time that spirits are a problem is when they're somehow stuck in our world, like ghosts, or they're summoned into our world, like elementals or other types of spirits that are brought into this world for a while, and then they're a pain. But most of the time, the spirits don't want to interact with the mundane world.
Yeah.
It's only if you're, and I'm speaking from Colbrast's, so more likely from Colbrast's point of view than Inkala's, it's only if you're crazy enough to actually put yourself into the spirit world that it's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I guess do what you like, but
do it away from me.
All right, so here is
wow.
Nice.
Here is a map of Moonbroth Oasis, and you all are heading in from the east, right towards, do you see the area? This is
the spa, yes.
near the spa. Now, this is a map of what the Lunars had hoped to turn this oasis into. So it does not really reflect the reality of Moonbroth. But there is, this is the grand scope of this. So you can see there's this group of small lakes, and the central lake has a bunch of things that I'm going to show you what they are in a moment. But to the north of it is Old Town. And what Old Town is, it's nowhere near as impressive as the Lunars tried to make out in this map. But it's basically like a Pueblo village, right? So it's unfortified, undefended. It's got lots of adobe houses in there, and the way that this works is they just pay a portion of whatever they harvest to whatever nomads come into town, and offer to provide them with food and whatnot. And the nomads have always agreed that the Oasis folk are not to be harmed. But on the other hand, the Oasis folk don't fight. They don't screw with the nomads. You know, you all treat them, the Incala, the High Lama riders treat the Oasis folk as slaves that are bound to this community, and then just obey whoever comes in. That's your approach to it. The rest of you may have a different approach to it. To the south of the lakes is what's called Newtown, and this was what the Raven called the Stone area. A lot of this looks abandoned or in ruins. The fortress does not look particularly impressive anymore, but there are inhabited buildings here. There are abandoned buildings here. And the last thing I want to do, so let me stop sharing this and share another picture so you can have an idea of what is in all of these, what everybody seems to be constantly referring to. So this is kind of an idea of what the area looks, it's geysers.
Oh, okay.
So
it's
you
not really just the mud stuff of Rotorua or something like that.
Right. It's like, to give let's see if I've got another one here. Sadly, no, I don't understand quite how. Give me a quick moment here. Let me try one more try. And again, I don't know who all has actually been to big guys like this. This is actually more or less what the lake looks like.
So you can't drink any water from that there lake.
No, it's probably got about a dozen geysers that go off at regular or irregular intervals.
So this
and the whole what?
This could also be a lot like the, in the scenes in Xena, Warrior Princess, where they, in Rotorua with the hot spring, the mud springs and all the pools, seems pretty similar.
And so that's what this area actually is. Does that make sense of why there were all the spirits there in Kala?
Yes.
I mean, it's a deeply weird place for you all. I don't know if anybody in real life, if you guys have ever been to where there are a lot of geysers.
No, that stinks like heck. When I went to Rotorua in New Zealand, and that's when I probably spent the most time, and it stinks to the of sulfur and all that stuff there.
Yep, stinks of sulfur, but they're really weird. The amount of steam that's coming off this is just kind of bizarre to look at, and it does look very strange to you all. But now it's pretty much up to you. What's your plan?
Well, I think we talked about checking out the new part, the new town, although you said it's partially abandoned, and seeing what's there. And seeing what, if people go up to fight us and who they are.
Okay, so who is acting as your group leader to basically choose locations or do whatever as your band of a dozen armed nomads rides around these two little villages?
I mean, this is Colbrast's area, isn't it? Raiding.
Yeah, I normally jump from ship to ship, which is far easier to survey everything. But I guess it should work out okay. I mean, remember my brilliant strategy when we stormed the gates of New Palace.
Yep.
So,
all right.
Nothing can go wrong, literally.
Philip, I'd like you to make a battle roll.
Yep.
You do have battle, right?
Oh dear. You know how it is. Every time I do an important battle roll, it fails. Even though I have 86 or something like that in battle.
What did you roll?
A 92. Oh, wait a second. It might still work. No, I have 85. Oh, no. Only +5. So I missed it by 2 points.
By that much.
I told you.
All right, so I want to give you guys an idea of what your impressive battle plan is. Colbrast is riding around on a zebra, waving his sword around and whooping. Can I hear you?
No, his shield sword.
Shield sword.
Whatever.
Can I hear you whoop?
No, I don't whoop normally.
You don't normally whoop?
No.
All right, Colbrast is whooping. And he tells everybody else, well, what we have to do is we have to, whirl your weapons around and whoop. And
I don't remember doing this on the
there are many
boats either.
factors. There are many factors which are confusing for me as a pirate. Number one is it's quite a big area. As I told you, I'm used to jumping onto ships, and you're in the middle of it, and everyone you can find you is there on this ship. And here it's just where is everyone, which is weird. And the sun has been shining on my hat for about 2 weeks.
Colbrast, after about 10-15 minutes of you riding around going "R R" and sounding like very fierce pirates, nobody's come out to fight you.
Wow,
nobody's come out to surrender.
So they've sort of surrendered by default by not turning up.
Yes, they just haven't turned up. This is sort of like I don't think they have a scene like have you ever watched the Wild Bunch, the classic Sam Peckinpah film?
Yeah, I think so.
You guys are basically riding around trying to terrorize this village, and nobody bothers to show up because.
Are there animals there and stuff?
That's what I would like the rest of you all to do. Make a scan.
Oh dear.
A scan roll, okay. Nope.
The good news is no one is turning up to fight us.
Yes.
Succeed by 3.
Okay.
53.
I have failed.
How about you, Nkala?
I fail. Beautiful failure. Yes.
All right, so I want to give an idea from your guys' perspective, everybody except Nisk. You guys have been riding around the main square of the main area of the nude block, riding around, stirring up dust, whooping.
I know what Nisk's doing. I've worked it out. I've worked out the secret of why Nisk succeeded.
Okay, well, and there's like dust all over the place, and you've been riding around, hoping maybe there would be somebody that would come out of their little huts to go either fight you or surrender and give you their stuff. But instead, you're just kind of riding around and around and around. And after 10, 15 minutes, you guys just basically, the four of you all just kind of stop at a certain...
The village is ours. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah, there's the village is you.
Yeah.
But it's sort of this anticlimactic bit where you guys have been riding around, and it's like, well, you know, maybe Garen says to Colrest, does this mean it's our village?
Honestly, yep. That's exactly what it means, Garen.
Is how these raids usually work?
Not always as smooth, to be honest. Normally we have to kill many people before we can claim a place. But
that would
brilliant strategy, obviously. Worked almost as well as it did in New Palace.
Nisk?
I'm just gonna see what the Praxians are doing.
Okay, so so you follow the Saber Riders. The Saber Riders ride a bit away from the Newtown area, and they actually ride over towards the Pueblo.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a stockade where there are a fair number of cattle, some horses, some sable antelope as well, and they're opening up the stockade.
So I'm going to get the gang to go and deal with that, because that's where the money is.
And we're going to tell them to please stop raiding our village.
What?
Well, you don't want to keep the village, believe me. If the next guy comes down, and you've got to fight it.
It doesn't
You've
matter.
We've never held the village. We can't sail the village away. It's not a
we can
boat.
barely hold the
I'm
house.
holding the village now. And we're going to tell them stop raiding our village. Because then we don't have to share the loot afterwards.
That's your cutting plan.
Josh Farr is opening up the stockade.
I'm getting the others to haul ass over here. And at the same time, I'm tempted to cast a spell. I think I will. And I will start listening to what they're saying using wind words.
Ooh.
How well do you speak Praxian?
Pretty well.
Okay, could you roll against your Praxian?
Well, let's roll against my spell first. 38, my spell succeeds. That's an easy one, though.
Actually, you don't need to roll against your Praxian. How well do you speak it? That's what I can... That's what's 40. More important. All right, so that's, I believe, more or less assured.
Assured regular communication.
Yeah, so what they're saying is get all the animals, kill the horses, and let's ride out of town.
Okay, so I'm calling everybody to haul ass over here, and I'll head over that way.
There is about 30.
I have a question.
Yes.
In Esrolia, we have not a problem with horses, do we?
No, not at all. Nobody except in Kala has a problem with horses.
Okay.
Why do you have a problem with horses? Well, we can discuss this later, I think.
And yours isn't as bad because you're a Stormbolt cultist.
Yeah.
You can be pragmatic about it. You're not Waha.
Yeah. They have a use. They're weak legs. They don't really belong here, but they have a use.
But there's about 30 animals.
Mm. Okay. So who wants to challenge them?
Praxian?
And there are a couple of women that are saying, don't take the horses, don't take... Actually, there's probably about 30 mountable animals, and there's probably 40 or so cattle. Right, so 30 horses, zebras, bison, whatever, pull that all together. But there's about 40 cattle in the
What do the women say?
They're crying out, don't take the cattle. We need the cattle to live.
Okay.
And Josh Farr's bit is let's take it all, take everything, kill the horses, and we'll split the animals between the two of us when we're out of the village.
No.
No?
Are you raiding our village, Joshua?
This was the bargain.
We just claimed this village. You're stealing our cattle and our horses. You know what they say, you can't trust the wolf pirates more than you can trust sable rhinos.
Well, Josh Farr at this bit, he's very tense about this, but and Josh Farr says, our agreement was that we would raid this village and we would split the loot.
Yes, but sorry. I mean, overall, I mean, I'm Tech, but still an elder. So they need some food to survive.
That can come out of your share. We don't care.
Oh,
That is
Maybe we
not
do
let's-
care.
tolerable.
Let's get everything out of here.
We'll take the. How many horses are there?
I said what? There's about 30 mounts.
Yes,
And how many cattle did I say?
40.
40.
Okay, so 20 of the, or probably 15 of the animals are horses. The other 15 are Praxian animals. And then there's 50 of the cattle. And Josh Farr says that we have to kill the horses because horses are an offense against Waha.
Well, you can take the other mounts if we take and we'll take the horses. That'll be a good share for that.
Okay, he'll accept that as he looks at you guys, especially at you, Colbrast, because he's like, he thinks you're having some sort of funny joke with, but he'll take the Praxian animals and leave you all with the horses.
And the cattle stays here.
Yeah, that's the deal as well.
I want the cattle stay here.
What if we took half the cattle and we took half and they took half, and that would still leave them 20 cattle?
The cattle stays here. They can take the mounts.
This is very important. Garen, roll against Garen and Nisk. Both check on look carefully and contemplate your honor. Did you make a deal?
That was
with this
out
guy?
of character. That was an out of character suggestion. In character.
Actually, they get more because they get all the mounts they are interested in. And we get actually all the mounts they're not interested in, they would kill. They would actually have to share the mounts theoretically with us. So they can leave all the cattle here.
I want you guys to discuss amongst yourselves for a quick moment. I'll be back while you guys discuss. And then I need you to have a plan.
Yeah, I completely agree with Gina. They have now gotten 15 of the mount animals, which are way more worth than the cattle animals. So they should be pretty happy with what they're getting away with.
And
the
as
cattle
we are
are
the
also,
new,
and the cattle are also very slow to move.
As the new owners piece, Colbrast, I don't think that really matters to the agreement that was made.
The thing is,
what do you think, Aaron?
Okay, so out of character, I think it would be not an unreasonable deal to say, of the 40 cattle, we will leave 20 with the residents, and then we will take 20 and split that 10 each. In character, we leave all the cattle. It is never, ever honourable to deprive the mouths of women and children of food.
But you made a deal, so what is the issue there then?
What we have won in Conquest, we take fairly, but we do not deprive those that need it of their sustenance.
And actually, it is very fair because they actually get more, instead of the cattle, they get actually more mount, which is they're interested in.
And also,
so it's actually totally fine for them.
Yeah, and moving cattle is slow.
You're welcome to say what they think. They still may not agree to it.
Yeah. But
We make them agree.
We can point out the fact that the cattle is really slow to move, and if the Poljonis come back, they're going to come back in force. So if you leave the cattle,
yeah. What do we do with the cattle?
Nothing.
We leave them.
We're actually going on to you know the moon temple, the lunar temple,
with 15 extra horses. Yes, for you guys.
I can't even ride one horse.
Actually, I would be much more interested if they because if we leave the cattle here, maybe the people are nice to us and give us some information we want.
Yeah.
I mean, the real question is, why did they ask us to help them in the first place? Because there's obviously no one here who can actually fight.
Well, there may have been enough to put up a show when there were 7, but not 6, but not with 12.
But there's no one here. I mean, it's just these.
But they didn't know that either, right?
I think that's what we have to assume, that they weren't any more aware of the disposition of horses around here than we were.
Okay.
But if we're actually going
what's the proposition here? Because Josh Farr and his folk, you know, they're sizing you guys up. There's 6 of them. There's 6 of you all. Waha Tall is like, this is going to be a fight, guys. This is going to be a fight.
And we have the hairdresser as well. So there's 8 of us.
Yes, he can make us a nice hairstyle.
I thought he was a fighting hairdresser. Is he not
trained yet?
No, he's actually holding me up on the mount.
All right, so there's 6 of them and there's 7 of you all, but they're sizing you all up. You tell them what your bargain is here. And I just want...
Our bargain is that okay, here's a question for you as a GM, Jeff, is the mounts are actually worth a lot more than the cattle. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So we're saying that if we're giving them all of the other mounts, it's actually a better deal than if we just killed all the horses and split it. So they actually get a better deal and they can come back again.
That sounds superb. Does any of your characters possess a bargain skill capable of articulating this?
30.
What's
30?
The bargain? Yeah, nope. 25.
No.
I can get a very good bargain skill if we think it's worth it.
I can make it 20. No, 30 with bargain. I
can if I'm going to spend a rune spell, I can make it 50. Actually, 55, I think. What's the numbers?
I don't know if my horn of intimidation would help with it.
This is not an the approach you're giving is a reasonable, rational deal where everybody is better off.
Yep.
Intimidate is something different. Intimidate is more pretty much, you know, you're going to accept this because otherwise we would kill you.
Could I augment my bargain with my Esrolian heritage? Every Esrolian has bargaining in their blood.
Well, yeah, that's because, and the way that that's reflected is the fact that Esrolians start with a better bargain than anybody else.
If you have harmony, you could augment with harmony. That would definitely.
Do you have the harmony?
Do that. Yeah, actually, I have harmony on 85.
If you want to do it, that would work.
I have harmony on 85.
So why don't you roll against so is Gina going to do this or is Nis going to do this?
I'm going to let Gina do this, I think. I'm going to be more on the, she's, Nis kind of, you know what I mean? He could take it or leave it. He's you know, he could take the cattle, he could leave the cattle. He doesn't care that much, but he doesn't want to cause trouble with his group. So he'll support Gina with what she wants.
Okay, Gina, let's see how your harmony rune goes.
My harmony rune, it's a success. I rolled a 59 and I have an 85.
Okay, add 20 to your bargain.
So I have now a 50 on my bargain. A 39, yes.
All right, the Sables, Josh Farr is willing to accept this as a fair, nope. this is one of the nice things about using bargain or orate is,
I could use orate. Damn it.
well, that may not have been the right.
I didn't seem appropriate.
Skills like this, the nice thing about it is if you all succeed on it, everybody agrees actually, that's a good deal. And so Josh Farr agrees. He takes all the Praxian animals. He leaves you with the horses, but strongly suggests that you kill them.
Yep.
And leaves you with the cow.
And under advisement.
And Josh Farr also makes it clear that as far as he's concerned, that you're good people. Because he just made off with 15 Praxian animals without anybody getting hurt. This was a good raid. So with that, he bids you adieu. And herds his group of 15. It's up to you to figure out what you're going to do with your 40 and your 15 horses. At this point, does anybody want to have a short break before we continue on? Okay. Gina, Claudia.
I need a short break.
All right, I disappeared already. I will pause it now. Yep, welcome back.
And welcome back. We are already in full-fledged discussion. I want to show the map for you guys to have some sort of idea where you might want to go, because there seems to be some discussion about this. You can see Moonbroth here.
Yep.
All right, about 40 kilometers away is Swenston, which is a Sartorite city. And then about the same distance from Moonbroth is Pimper's Block. And then about 20 kilometers from Pimper's Block is Hender's Ruins. That's where the big battle was that you guys want to go to. So travel-wise, you're probably about 4 days away. About 2 days to get to Swenston, and then from there a day or two to get to Hender's Ruins.
So, and just to give Gina an idea, the thought was that we could sell the horses in Swenston for more portable loot, and then move in from there.
Okay.
When we were traveling, somebody mentioned which king you serve, and said there was a king in Swenstown. Do we know anything about them? Okay,
so Swenston is the center of a confederation of several Sartorite tribes. It is the center of, I believe, and I may even need to look this up, of the Aaronwythe, the Dundielos, the Keldon, and Balkoth tribes. I believe that's the 4 tribes of that it's the center for. So your guys' knowledge of Sartorite politics right now is quite a bit out of date, because you guys have been in New Pavis for the last almost a year.
I haven't been back to Sartor since I was 3.
Yeah. So it's your homeland, but you also know that if since the Dragon Rise, presumably Sartor has been under lunar occupation for almost a generation. With the Dragon Rise, maybe things have changed a bit. I mean, there's been news that there's been a major tribal rebellion after the Dragon Rise, but how much you guys know is probably not a tremendous amount without going there.
So we might be able to gain some insight for Argrath.
You very well might.
And he intends to march to Dragon's Pass at some point soon. So it's worth it from that point of view as well.
Furthermore, once the Sable Riders leave, the villagers the women there that have begged for the animals and the livestock want to know. They're still begging for the animal for you to leave them with the cattle.
We will.
Yeah,
All of them.
it's yours.
Oh well, with this, they cry tears of happiness. People go and they touch your tunics and they're very, very happy about this because they don't know that they depend upon these animals. And
I want to know why they're now alone.
the Poljoni the Poljoni men and most of the women and all the warriors, the leaders, left for to claim the Dundielos Valley for their kin, and to take it back from the people that had the Lunars had given it to. So they basically have gone and en masse, the tribe has gone into Sartar.
Mm-hmm. And left them alone here?
They left the villagers alone here, and they left those of us, they left those of us that wouldn't go or couldn't go, and they left us with enough animals for us to be able to feed
But
ourselves.
not to defend. How would you defend yourself?
We would defend ourselves. We were to be treated like the Oasis people.
Meaning?
So,
And the tribe will come back. Poljoni said they will return.
mm-hmm.
These are strange times, though. Many people set out believing they will return and don't.
But we could not.
So the Dundielos Valley. I mean, one of the tribes of the of Swenston is Dundielos. Where's that valley fit in this map of things? So
Okay, do you want me to share it?
With their horses.
Shall I share this again?
Yeah. I don't want to sell it to the same guy.
Here's your horse back.
Where did you get that horse? Oh.
Yep.
Okay, do you see now Moonbroth in the upper, near the top here?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, Swenston. And then there's this rich area called the
down there.
Dundielos Valley. And that is a big, rich valley. You can see Boldholm is right here. And the other important thing about the Dundielos Valley is you can see there's a little red road of dots that lead into the mountains there from near Grey Horse. That leads to a place called the Old Wind Temple, a very, very important Orlanth holy place. And the other thing is, do you see directly west of Dundielos Valley, there's this like little squiggly thing. That's where you saw the dragon rise.
Wow.
So there might be remnants of this dragon rise there.
There might be remnants of that dragon rise. So does that give you a better idea? So that the Poljoni, and if you guys want, I can give you a little bit of a well-known background story, if that would be useful, about the Dundielos and the Poljoni.
Sure.
The Dundielos are a Sardarite tribe that are close kin to the Poljoni. About a decade ago, the Lunars took certain liberties and extreme repression on some of the nobles of the Dundielos, and the Dundielos rebelled. In return, or in retaliation, the Lunars forced the Dundielos out of their valley, where they joined the Poljoni. as another part of the Poljoni nation, and they settled the Dundielos Valley with their own friends and supporters. So without having to put a whole lot together, the Dundielos and the Poljoni have decided to retake the land they were kicked out of.
Okay, interesting.
So all that's going on, but they are one of the Swenston, they are part of the Swenston tribal group. And the horses you took are all marked as Poljoni.
Well, we took them from Sable Riders, so that's not a problem.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it.
Okay.
I can
would
say that.
believe you. I mean, Sable Riders would have killed the horses, right?
Not if we stopped them.
Yeah, but I mean, say someone asks you, well, did you just meet these Sable Riders out in the desert with the horses?
They're asking me too many damn questions. I'm not going to have to answer that crap.
Okay. I'm just saying, you know, it might be.
What do you want to do? Don't quit,
15 horses is a lot of silver.
Hmm.
Does anybody
you may want to
have
stop the map again, Jeff.
Oh, sorry about that. Does anybody want to have an idea how much you expect a horse to be able to be traded for in Swenston? Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am going over to the rule book under riding beasts. You think each horse should be able to be, you should get about 50 lunars per horse.
50.
50.
That's not bad. That might, you know, pay for the beer for a few weeks.
That's 750 lunars for you guys.
Mm.
That's basically how much it costs to hire 10 free people to work for you for a year.
How, with the Sword Brothers, the bodyguard of Argrath, is there a particular animal you're allowed to ride, or would a horse be acceptable?
Horse is totally acceptable.
I would like to keep one of the horses.
Is it a riding horse or a war horse?
That's 50 lunars.
Well, I mean, I just comes out of my share.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
I share
Fair enough.
one of the
So
horses.
you're saying that my gift of letting you ride one of my bison is not enough. You cannot handle a true Praxian beast. That's what you're telling me.
I'm very grateful for the time I spent learning to ride your bison.
All I'm going to say is every time I see you on a horse, just like on call, I'll be looking down on you.
Yeah. Could ride a zebra instead.
And I'll be taller too.
So you can finally look down on someone riding, huh?
Hey, bison aren't that short.
All I'm saying, Rich, blister butt.
It's not fair.
Can't help it if you took a humak you couldn't ride.
Mount beneath me, as much part of me as my sword.
So, but
one distant day.
the local Oasis people are very thankful, and they are willing to provide you all with bread and some watery cheese and all the fine things that you can get in an Oasis.
Oh, so they have dates and stuff.
They have dates. They are very friendly towards you all because you gave the other people all of the cattle back, and they could care less about the horses.
Why are these horses here if no one wants them? I somehow don't.
These were horses that for one reason or another, they did not want to bring, they wanted to leave some of the horses behind so that some of the people could, if there was a problem, people could ride away. And they're also animals. They were more animals than they thought that they could safely bring on a journey.
Okay.
Getting worried about this village now.
What was this?
Getting worried about them.
Well, it wouldn't have made a difference if someone else came. You know, we basically saved anyone from getting killed.
Yes, while we're here, once we go.
Is it going to make a difference if they're horses? It's less likely for people to want to raid them. Kill them, maybe. I don't know. They can't fight on them. It doesn't make any difference.
The local villagers will say that the way that it always is, the Praxians will not kill us.
But they'll kill the horses.
Yep.
We'll take the cattle. Leave you to starve to death.
They appreciate you for protecting the cattle. Some of the folks say we're not permitted to eat this, but there's others that say, you know, we only eat cattle.
Well, I mean, I suppose there's nothing we can do.
I mean, you can stay here and protect them.
You can stay here, Garen. You can be the protector of Moonbroth.
That's a cool title.
I mean, the village belongs to us already, so you know you can stay here as a what's the English word? Statthalter in German. Is that in English?
I believe the closest thing would actually be protector, warden, or in this world,
the sheriff.
Lord, sheriff.
The sheriff.
The sheriff.
I mean, I've got
sheriff of Moonbroth.
You've got your hair. You want to be the sheriff of Moonbroth, Garen?
Maybe when we come back.
Okay.
But now I feel I owe it to Argrath to find out what's going on in Swenstown. Who is this upstart king who dares name himself thus, when the White Bull should be king of all?
All right, so it sounds like your guys' grand plan is to then travel from Moonbroth across the grasslands to Swenston. So actually, I would like to, this is a logical stopping point for tonight, because I actually have to think about Swenston a little bit.
I don't think any of us planned we were going there.
Well, I had no idea. I never know where you guys are going. You know.
We don't have an idea where we just know
That's pretty clear.
direction is like, you know,
I'm loving
where the
this.
battle took place.
I'm loving this.
Great.
I'm loving this. But I would like us to stop at this point. Now, one important thing about Swenston is Swenston is a city.
Yep.
And this is a place you might be able to get rune points back, offer worship, trade, take a bath. Those of you all who are Sardarites or Zerilians, bathe regularly. In Kala, bathing is for is a weakness.
Sorry.
Good sand pits work just fine.
Exactly. But let's stop at this point. And I think, does anybody have anything else they want to do before we make the great trek across from Moonbroth to Swenston? But where I would like us to do, I'm going to say,
I would like to bless some graves.
are you going to spend rune points, or are you going to just do it by dancing and happy songs?
No, I actually find this place interesting. I will spend a rune point.
Okay. So knock off one rune point.
Yeah, because I don't know what I get out of it, but maybe some information. Because
well,
this is
certainly
actually...
the villagers are very, they are, you know, they're willing to give you whatever sort of support they can here. There actually is more people here than you thought.
Okay.
There are several hundred people residing in in the old village. There are actually 2 inns in the village, but nothing is marked. So it's like all of these houses, more or less, or the buildings, more or less, in the old town, more or less look like identical adobe buildings. You know, it's very hard to tell functionally one from another. But there are actually there are places to stay. There's actually a functioning market here. There is an Isseries market priest who manages the market here. And the villagers are happy to talk to you about whatever it is that they know. And they make sure you're fed. They give you, flatbread, lizard on a stick, dates, all the great delicacies.
Nice.
This is great.
They even make sure that you get some barley beer.
Good.
They do it the old-fashioned way, where you have to have something that you shove through. They let the barley ferment on the top, and you have to shove kind of like a straw through it to be able to drink. So that you're not just drinking grains. How many of your characters have a degree of snobbiness about the quality of alcohol they like to drink?
None whatsoever.
I don't drink any alcohol.
No, you don't. Garen, that's going to get tough for you.
I will somehow get through it.
I'm snobby.
It's awful.
I will say it's only in character that I'm not allowed to continue.
Yeah.
Out of character.
Gina,
Yeah.
it's awful. It's awful.
I know they try.
It's this awful, watery, grainy beer. Those of you all, Colbrest and Nisk, you guys very well could develop a degree of snobbery because you've taken alcohol from the entire world.
We have. We've also had bad alcohol from everywhere in the world.
It's not among the worst, but close.
No, it's not amongst the worst. But it's definitely not amongst the best.
It is not something I want to set up a trade with back home for our shrine.
No. I mean, it would be really cheap.
I will ask them if they have maybe something better somewhere in the back store or so.
Maybe have date wine or something like that.
The Poljoni, there is actually fermented date juice.
Nice.
And
Much better.
That packs an interesting punch. But all of the wine was taken by the Poljoni.
But what about the fermented horse milk thing?
They don't do that. Most of the kvass was taken by the Poljoni.
But Garen, I'm going to recommend a couple of things, and I'm willing to help you with it, if you'd like me to. I will evaluate these 15 horses, and I'll determine which 2 are the best that you could potentially use and ride on. Bearing in mind, none of these are battle trained, so the bison would have been better for that, because he doesn't get as scared.
Well, I want you to make your ride roll, Nisk.
That's what I'm offering to do. Okay, 44. That's a success.
There are 2 cavalry trained beasts.
Wow.
There you go. They're worth a lot more, though.
Yes, they are. They are the cavalry trained beasts are worth twice as much as the regular horses.
And that is how much my loyalty to Argrath and my wish to join the Sword Brothers means to me.
Or in other words of saying it, that's your share.
Fair. I accept this. Money means very little to me.
Are there horses which are even more mellow than my mule in this group?
There are riding beasts. And Claudia, a riding beast is basically like the horses that you and I rode when we were in the mountains.
So they know what to do.
They know what to do.
But the question is, are they more mellow than the mule I have right now?
Have you ever ridden a mule in real life?
No.
Mules aren't mellow.
Then I take one of these riding beasts, which is very, very mellow.
That's
and
why
not too high.
That's why everything's gone so wrong for you. We're assuming the mule was the easiest, while you actually chose one of the most.
Why did you
stubborn-
guys give me a mule?
It was
I
fun.
didn't give you a mule. Anybody
No one knows why you have a mule, to be honest.
You know how hard. You know how hard. I had just enough trouble putting the right amount of rocks and burrs underneath the saddle of the bison, so the bison wouldn't notice it, but Garrett would. You know how much effort I put in to make that good? I did it.
So I
You
want to
didn't need
have.
it.
I need him. I want to have one of these horses which is very mellow and looks really good.
Okay, so you take a pony. That's what you take, Claudia.
What?
You take a pony.
I'm sorry. I have a little bit of.
Most
no.
horses are ponies.
It's not like a My
Beautiful
Little,
pony.
but think how pretty a My Little Pony is, and like a nice little, the tail's
Yes,
all
with,
long.
with
or-
sparkly pink.
you can play like the
hoofs.
dark moody one if you want. That's fine.
No,
Yeah,
I
I'm
take a
sharing
nice
the
one.
map again for a brief moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have you guys go from Moonbroth to the southwest, and we'll cross and basically get to this river here that is to the southwest. That's this dotted, it's a seasonal river. And where we will start next session is that you have made it across the grasslands of the Poljoni March and have entered Sartar.
Okay.
And that's where we'll start on this. But does anybody have anything they want to add at this point? Or otherwise, what I want to do is we will schedule the next game for Tuesday. Philip, can you make it?
Yep.
Can you make Tuesday?
I can make Tuesday, yes.
Okay. Claudia, can you make Tuesday?
Yes, I can make Tuesday.
All right. I think we're all on for Tuesday. I want to thank everybody for playing, everybody for watching this, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday.
And if you like this game and all other RuneQuest games and Chaosium games, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Oh.
Okay, bye.